Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Karen, the Women's Midlife Specialist, and we have a very special lab today. One that we have never seen anything like this before, and I am very grateful and appreciative of TK, who is allowing me to read her labs in a video for all of you women because everyone can benefit from seeing these labs. Everyone. So, this is the first of its kind that we have had, and I am thanking you from the bottom of my heart, TK, for allowing me to share these labs with other people. Okay, so TK is 49 years old. She's postmenopause and she has a personal history of breast cancer 8 years ago. She was treated with chemotherapy and she went through menopause after the chemo treatment. Now, I remember TK from about a year ago when I started the Lucky Zebras, and she was somewhat interested in doing it, and we had talked. Um, I don't remember if it was by phone or by email, but we had talked, and I encouraged her that if she wanted to join, we would need to do estrogen metabolite testing, that would be actually a necessity and a requirement for me to be able to help her. In any event, it didn't work out, and I had not heard from her until now. And what she tells us is that she started treating herself with Hormone Heaven in February, towards the end of February of 2018. Now, to my knowledge, TK's breast cancer history was an estrogen driven breast cancer. I really don't know anything more. I don't know whether or not she had mastectomies, whether she has her ovaries, her uterus. I don't know any of that. So I just have to go on symptoms and labs and the little bit of history that I do know. Now, this is extremely interesting, and I want everyone to pay close attention because what TK is using is our hormone heaven, which is mostly estriol and a little estradiol. And I believe she's using 2 pumps twice a day. And I want you to see postmenopausally what is happening to her hormones. So she gets very little estradiol, but she's really high. This is too high for that small amount of estradiol. This estrone is actually excessively high. So this is E1. This is very surprising. But with the history of breast cancer, I think this is a big telltale sign, a big giveaway. This is a problem. And this needs to be really investigated very, very closely. Now, her estriol that she gets through the hormone heaven is also surprisingly higher than I would expect with 2 pumps twice daily. In any event, this is what is appearing to me as TK has a hard time clearing her hormones well at all. This is a big concern. If she has had mastectomies, has had her ovaries removed, has had her uterus removed, I would be a little less concerned about the some of these numbers, but not really completely. I'm still concerned because anytime that you see this kind of thing, you know that there's something that is hidden that has not been identified. Something, it could be a genetic alteration. There could be some genetic alteration in her genes, in her DNA, that is directing her body to not be able to clear these hormones well at all. Now, when something like that could happen, when something like that happens, what you have to think about is, could it be increasing her risk for other conditions, other diseases, other cancers, other concerns? Could it actually be the cause of her symptoms? Because there are so many enzymatic processes in the body. I mean, millions of enzymatic processes going on at our cellular level, that if she is lacking an enzyme, if she's lacking a nutrient, if she's got an abnormal um, or aberrant, some abnormal genetic alteration that is not, say, methylating her estrogen, that would may mean that she's not methylating other enzyme reactions, which could potentially put her at risk of other medical conditions, not just cancer, but other medical conditions, because methylation is a very basic um, necessity of the body to carry out normal cellular functions. So I don't know and have no idea if this is the situation, but it is a big concern to me. And I think that I would be going in that direction to find out what more I could find out about myself. So this is I'm really glad, TK, that you did this lab. And I don't really feel at this point you need to do the metabolic testing anymore, because we already see these very high levels of estrone, which you really should not be there. You should not be having 28 uh, uh, estrone with a small biased hormone replacement. Okay, in addition to that, she has an elevated testosterone, and she's not on any testosterone replacement, not on any DHEA. The stress of her system has brought this DHEA down to only 1.8. So we see that, of course, we've seen that a lot in people who have high stress levels, or whose bodies are going through either physical or emotional stress. Now, obviously, anybody who has a lot of symptoms going on are going to have a lot of stress in their life, and anyone who has had cancer has physical stress. So, this could certainly explain the low DHEA. So, let's look at the symptoms and just kind of get an idea of more of what TK is feeling, because as you saw here, okay, let's just a big reminder, all the estrogens. Here's an estrogen, here's estriol, here's a high estrone, here's a high testosterone. So she's got all these high levels, but let's see what her groupings look like. Look at her symptoms. Oh my goodness, TK. This breaks my heart. I really, really feel what you're experiencing here. Now, when we look at the grouping of symptoms, TK, check it out. You've got the number one, the biggest problem is this high cortisol. That's a lot of physical and mental stress here. And then the second, low androgens, but we know your testosterone's high. You do have low DHEA, but really shouldn't be seeing a lot of symptoms of low androgens. This is likely just an overflow of this high cortisol. Then check this out. The estrogen and progesterone deficiency is the third highest symptom complaint, group of symptom complaints. And obviously, you do not have a low estrogen or a low progesterone. So these are not indicative. This and this is not indicative of what your labs show. We know your hormones are high, but you're having symptoms of low. So this is our best bet, high cholesterol, and you have a lot of symptoms of metabolic syndrome. Okay, now here's the good part, TK. I know now first, before I say the good part, there good part's coming, okay? TK rates her stress as moderate, so she's got some pretty severe hot flashes and vaginal dryness, which I did not address. I'm going to address it without it being on here. Foggy thinking and memory lapse, bone loss, sugar cravings, that's metabolic, weight gain, libido, scalp hair, mood swings, lots of mood issues, nervous, irritable, anxious. Sometimes that can happen after chemo, by the way. Let's see, high cholesterol, dry and brittle hair and nails, and then there's the breast cancer. Okay, so here's the good news. All right, there's good news, and there's always going to be good news. And that is that uh, what we have here with I want to go back down here, what we have here with the high cortisol symptoms and the metabolic syndrome, the actual recommendations that I feel very confident in providing you is going to help your most significant symptoms. So that's high cortisol. Low androgens is spilling over from the high cortisol. These commonly go together. And the estrogen and progesterone deficiency, we know you don't have, and then the metabolic syndrome. So, when we look at what I'm going to recommend, first of all, I can't recommend any hormones at all. These levels are too high, and you need to figure out and find out why they are. And not because you want to take hormones. That's not the reason. But the reason is, could whatever's causing this also be causing some other metabolic disturbance that is affecting you or could affect you in the future with some other medical condition? So, we need to look further into why you're not clearing these hormones. Now, if you are post mastectomy and post ovary removal, then these high levels aren't as urgent for you to rush out and find the physician who is going to help you discover this cause or do additional genetic testing. But I still would do it fairly soon. I would be thinking of doing this within the next 6 months to a year. Put your thoughts and your intentions in that direction, that within 6 months you'll have someone in your inner circle helping you figure out what is going on. 23andMe DNA testing may actually be a good place for you to start, because 23andMe is not expensive at all, and they have a lot of good information that you can find out about whether or not there's some problems with uh, maybe folate, methylation. And I'm not an expert on this, so this is something that I can't really help you with in terms of your DNA testing. Now, you definitely want a doctor who understands genetic testing, and this is somebody that's going to be on your team to help you look over what your DNA results actually show. The next thing that I would recommend, and this is what's going to super help your metabolic syndrome symptoms, but it is also going to help put you in the right direction to health, no matter what your DNA testing shows. And that is always organic. You want to get toxins, you want to remove toxins, you don't want any endocrine disrupting agents. You want a low meat red meat diet, very high fiber, tons of vegetables, no alcohol or other toxic like substances like smoking, of course. And in addition to that, I highly recommend that you check out this website, crispycancer.com. Now, I know it was 8 years ago, and we speak of, well, post 5 years, some physicians, some cancer specialists, oncologists say if you're post 5 years, then you would be a candidate for hormone replacement. But that would be with very careful monitoring and watching the metabolic processes. And I think your labs now are showing that there's something more that needs to be looked at. Not necessarily for, breast cancer or ovarian cancer or pancreatic cancer, but specifically to see what is it that is driving you from being able to eliminate these hormones. That's a very small amount of bias that you're using to have a 11.4 and an estrone of 28. Okay, so when you go to crispycancer.com, this is a young guy. He had very early stage colon cancer. And so, even one of the um, uh, conventional recommendations for stage one colon cancer is A, removal, which he did. He had surgical removal. And then B, no follow up chemotherapy because it's all self contained. And my understanding is that he chose not to do any chemo, but that is one of the options. Though I think he was actually recommended to have chemo, and um, he chose to go with a well, I guess what you would call an anti cancer or cancer treatment diet. So I actually met Chris and I know him personally, and I have met some of the people who have uh, worked with Chris who also have or had cancer, who beat cancer as well. So I highly recommend going through his website, reading about his diet and his thoughts on food. I know you're free of cancer now. I'm not saying anything like that. It's just that this diet is also going to get rid of a lot of your symptoms as well. And that's what I meant by the good news. So, this diet, along with these other efforts like meditation, acupuncture, grounding, journaling, focusing on self and family, and putting yourself first is going to calm the adrenals and calm the spirit. And I think with your symptoms of high cortisol, there's a lot going on that you still need to recover from. So I highly recommend probably those first four, I mean, meditation, acupuncture, grounding, and focus on self and family. And these are basically the four that I focused on in the middle of my adrenal fatigue way back in 2000. So look up crispycancer.com. He has a diet that was while he was uh, undergoing his treatment protocol for cancer, and then he now has a post cancer diet. So he's added back some meat, which I think you could go straight to the post cancer, but you really need to focus on that really high fiber, tons of vegetables, and very low sugar, all organic, a rare dairy that should always be free range organic. And really, that's me. This is what I would do, and this is where I would spend my efforts. So um, I do a lot of this anyway. So is where I'd put my money, my focus, my direction. Um, um, okay, then There's at least some supplements that I know you really need. For instance, an omega 3 fatty acid, a good high omega 3 fatty acid with EPA and DHA. High dose vitamin D3, get that D3 level up nice and high, at least 60, maybe 80. A good multivitamin and mineral, astaxanthin would be very good for you. Turmeric would be excellent for you. So, again, I would see a functional medicine physician and I would choose one who actually specialized in cancer. Now, so I do like this product. It's a good product. It has everything that I mentioned, except it does not have astaxanthin. I believe it has turmeric, but it does not have astaxanthin. But you could get a separate one of this. Now, um, all of these efforts that I've mentioned here, they really are going to be a much bigger bang for your buck than any hormone cream or anything else that you could do. And I can easily prove that to you simply by looking at your symptoms and comparing them to your lab results. You're not deficient in hormones at all. In fact, you have too much. And sometimes, a lot of times, when people have too much hormones, they get the same symptoms as when they don't have enough. But for you to start on hormone heaven, it tells me that you're having a lot of hormone symptoms even before you started. So, therefore, I want you to put your attention on yourself and grounding and meditation and acupuncture and yoga and nutrients, lots and lots of nutrients. Okay, so I hope this helped you, TK. And I so appreciate, so much appreciate you and letting me be a part of helping guide you in your next step. And also for allowing me to share your labs with other women. We can all benefit, and we thank you. All right. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.